spread a little aloha around the world. At breakfast with Bob.
Thank you, Poncho Man. Welcome, everybody, back to Breakfast with Bob, our Not Quite Kona edition. My name is Bob Babbitt, and we are brought to you by Master Spas, by S Fuels Go Longer, Hoka Let's Fly, Form Smart Swim Goggles, DeBoer Wetsuits, Quintana Roo, Zoot, the original triathlon brand, Premium Plus Sports, and of course, our Challenged Athletes Foundation. We have now raised over $159 million, sent out over 44,000 grants to keep challenged athletes in the game of life through sport. Our next guest, who is racing at the PTO Open coming up this US Open coming up this week. Her name is Rebecca Clarke. Rebecca, how are you? I don't think we've chatted before.
I'm good, thanks. It's taking a while for us to chat together.
I love that. So you're from New Zealand. How did you get into the sport of triathlon? Were you a swimmer growing up?
Yeah, I swam from a pretty early age. From about 6 years old, and was a competitive swimmer throughout high school. And then took a bit of break with uni and got into triathlon. Not till really serious about it till I was about 22.
So when you got into triathlon, and did you start out thinking, I'm going to go WTS, I'm going to go towards the Olympics? Was that the original thought?
Yeah, originally I started the Olympic distance and started racing on the World Cups and the World Series.
Yeah.
With the goal to go to the 2016 Rio Olympics. So I competed at the test event, and I was right up there. I kind of was sitting probably about the fourth Kiwi.
Yes.
I didn't make the team in the end. I had a bit of a bumpy lead up to it on the key events with a bit of injury and a bike crash. So I wasn't quite 100% at the time, and so while it was it hurt, I knew I hadn't really been in my best shape. Felt pretty, decided to kind of take a step back from triathlon when I didn't make that team, and kind of thought I was, I didn't really look towards Ironman or anything. I was just gonna, go back to a full-time job and be a bit of a normal person again. So
when you went, was Taupo then the first longer distance race you did in 16?
Yes, that was at the end of, it was only about a 6-month break I took, and then I thought, let's just do one half Ironman. And the history of Taupo is a rich triathlon history, so I was like, I'll do one there, maybe one and done. But and enjoyed it. I found it much longer at the time. I thought 90K on the bike was rather long to time trial. So
right.
But I got fourth behind, there was, I think, Meredith Kessler won that year, and I thought, oh, okay, fourth's not bad. Maybe if I I'd only been on a time trial bike for a few months and decided to stick around and do a few more.
Well, so what's cool, you get fourth that first time out. And you had taken when you stepped away from the sport, you were done, right? It was like, I'm going to get a real job. I'm going to move on with my life. Oh, I'll do this Taupo thing just for fun. Put a little punctuation point on my career as a triathlete, and that sort of relit the fire. It sounds like.
Yeah, it did. It was just like a new challenge, and I guess at the time I still, triathlon can become quite all-consuming, and I think I enjoyed, like, I was still working at the time, and I was like a bit more balance in the life without having to be like, I have to put everything on the line for this, and I have to make money out of it. I've still got the income from the job, and I'll go back to work, and people will be like, interested, but then it's like, right, get back to work.
And then 17, you get sixth at the Tauranga half, 13th at Sunshine Coast, 10th at 70.3 Western Sydney, 70.3 Taupo. So you're being really consistent. And then the following year, you go from you end up getting a third at Taupo, and seventh at, is it Wanaka half, seventh there. So you're being really consistent. And are you still working part-time, or is this now all full-time triathlon?
I was still working full time at that stage. Yeah.
So when did you make that move that, okay, I'm having some success here. Now I'm going to go and do this. This is going to be my living. I'm going to make a living as a triathlete.
Yeah, I switched jobs in 2019, and I went still kind of from full time to part time.
Yep.
And yeah, that worked because I was still able to. I was mainly doing New Zealand, Australian races, so I was still
Yes.
able to work part time, but it was still like the focus was shifting more onto the like putting training first and the events first.
And what type of work were you doing?
I was originally working at a high school, the sports department, like a sports administrator, and then I was doing admin at a physio clinic. It was very sports orientated, like physio clinic. So they were very understanding with me going away to events and things.
So 2019, you need your physio clinic because you crashed in Japan and hurt your hip towards the end of the race. How long did that keep you out?
The Japan one wasn't too long. I was able to get through that one. It was only had a minor injury from that.
So what was your first Ironman? Was it first full? Was it New Zealand?
Yes, it was Ironman New Zealand. So that was in 2019.
How fun was that, getting fifth in your first ever Ironman in your home country?
Yeah, that was great. I think all triathletes know who've done Ironman. I think that first one is just like almost the most special. I think, even if you win some bigger races, I think everyone will remember their first one, and it's like, you're still unsure of what the day is going to bring up, and brought up its challenges. But I was really happy with that race.
Well, and then you do a little later in the year, you go to Wales and you get seventh there. So now you're showing you're consistent at both 70.3 and at the full. Now, is this, in terms of sponsorship, did things change at all now that you're sort of an established triathlete at both 70.3 and full distance?
Yeah, it's still it's still hard to I do it all myself. I don't have an agent to get the sponsors, so I'm always like looking for a bit more sponsorship. I think definitely the exposure in Hawaii last year, getting being near the front of the race for quite a lot of it, and then getting a top 20, that definitely kind of opened a few more doors for this year, which is great. So I think it's just being on that world stage just gets you more exposure. Obviously, like COVID, it was hard because it was just New Zealand races or cancellations. So doing the races, the PTO races last year, like something like Challenge Roth in Hawaii, I was at.
You were everywhere.
Yeah.
I look at 2022.
Biggest races.
I look at 2022 and I'm going, oh, wait a second. She did New Zealand, and she did Challenge Wanaka, and she did Cairns, and she did Ironman Australia. How many Ironmans did you do last year between Challenge Roth, World Championships, World Triathlon Long Distance Championships, Ironman Cairns, Ironman New Zealand? You did like a career in 1 year.
No, I think some of those years last year was 3. I think the other ones were last year. There was Ironman New Zealand wasn't on, so I went to Port Macquarie.
Okay.
That's where I got my Kona slot, and then to Challenge Roth, and then to Hawaii.
Right.
I think I think 3 is enough.
Yeah, 3 is plenty. So
that's
right. You did New Zealand in 2021 and got second there. That's cool. And then you get second at Ironman Australia this last year and fifth in Roth. And when you get 8th at the US Open, one that was hotter than anything. And when people see a 5th or an 8th, they don't quite understand the field that you're dealing with when you go to a race. You get an 8th place at something like the US Open, it's like winning another race, don't you think?
Yeah, I felt I was super surprised by that result. I think going into it, I was like, oh, if I get a top 15, that will be an outstanding day. It was such a strong field, and
Yep.
yeah, I just had a great day and managed to like cope with the conditions quite well. But yeah, that was quite confidence. That was 3 weeks away from Kona, so I was like, this is great.
Well, you knew you were ready for heat.
Yes, yeah. Well, I had been training. I'd been training in Spain where it had been warm, and then I'd been in Texas. I've had the humidity and the heat. So I had, yeah, I was close to Dallas, and yes, kind of similar conditions. So it was
So
great.
what was that Kona experience like for you doing that iconic race? You're up there pretty much all day long. Just getting there, being on that island for the first time, and just the whole atmosphere of that day.
Yeah, it was great. I'd been once before as a spectator
Right.
in 2018, before I'd even done an Ironman. So I just thought, this heat is crazy. I remember being pretty hot standing there. So yeah, it was great to be like, okay, I'm actually in this race, and this would have seemed like a dream, a dream to be up there in the professional race, going back, yeah,
Yes.
4 years. So yeah, it's kind of, and I've watched the race many times, so I knew all the spots. But yeah, it was amazing just to like the lead up to it. I was just in a really good headspace because I thought just go and do, enjoy it and see what you can do. And yeah, I mean, I love an ocean swim, so I was enjoying the swim. And yeah, obviously there was very hard parts on the bike, but yeah, it was definitely cool to be, yeah, doing all those, like going up Palani Hill, and yeah, having the support was crazy on the course. And yeah.
So this year, third at New Zealand, and European Open Ibiza, getting 17th there again. Anytime you get a top 20 in that field, that's pretty damn amazing. And then Ironman Germany, getting 8th there. And now you're traveling around the world, and you're doing these cool races, cool Ironman events and 70.3s and in all these different places. What have been some of your favorite places to visit and race?
Yeah, that's really hard to pinpoint down. Obviously the Challenge Roth last year was an awesome experience. Like going up the Solarberg Hill was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And yeah, again, the support was amazing in Frankfurt. Yeah, and I enjoyed also, yeah, I mean, Ibiza was pretty cool. Like to have triathlon, I didn't think triathlon would bring me to Ibiza
Exactly.
in
Yes.
my career. So yeah, and it was, yeah, quite a cool town there actually, just to walk around. Yeah, I liked a recent one I did that was in Salou, Challenge Salou, which was,
Yes.
it was a nice yeah, beach setting, and it wasn't too far to travel where I was based in Girona. So yeah, it was yeah,
You're
so
doing
many I could go on.
you're doing this right. You're going to the really good places. I love that. Training in Girona. That's very cool. Actually, one of my favorite, I loved that the Challenge Championship. That Samarin was a pretty cool place too. I really enjoyed going there a couple of years ago when we went for Collins Cup. That was pretty neat.
Yeah, it's pretty, like there it's the ease is easy because you're kind of staying right on the race site,
Yes.
and it's got all the facilities you need. So yeah, for kind of ease of things where you're not trying to negotiate a big city is yeah, it's pretty easy to go the riding out there.
What will the rest of you, after you do the PTO US Open in Milwaukee, what will be the rest of your season?
Yeah, so I mean, there's just so many races on this year, and big races, and I didn't want to be swapping continents too much. So I decided after this I head back to New Zealand, just have a few weeks at home. I've been on the road for 3.5 months, so be good to just unpack for a few weeks, and then I head to Cairns in Australia for a camp, yeah, ahead of Kona, and I'm possibly doing the Sunshine Coast 70.3, which falls about 4 weeks out from Kona. So it's yeah, I just feel like I need to get into a good block of training. I have raced quite a lot this year.
Yes, you have.
Yeah, I would have loved to maybe do the Singapore Open. I did get offered a start there, but it's quite a bit of a travel time from here, and then to go back. And yeah, I think with the big goal and the like is Kona, so need to get my head down in a good block of Ironman training ahead of that.
You know, what's so hard is it's the positive and negative. Right now, you could go to, there's 70.3 Worlds in Finland, there's Milwaukee, there's Singapore, all in the same month. And then if you try to do all of those with all that travel and then go to Kona, if Kona's the goal, you can basically travel yourself out of having a great race in Kona.
Yeah, exactly. It's I mean, yeah, I qualified for 70.3 world champs, but decided I didn't really want to travel all the way back to Europe to then do good travel. And yeah, actually, like, it's from here, it's, you know, a direct flight back to New Zealand, and then yeah, when you're in New Zealand, Australia, you're actually not far, and it's not really like like, it's not really, I don't really feel like you get too much jet lag from that side, so it's quite good going into Kona from there.
So what do you, when you look at yourself at the end of the season or mid-season, how do you need to improve, do you think? What's the goal in terms of, I need to get better at this? Obviously, you're always up there in the swim. Your bike is there. Is there a lot of focus on the run?
Yeah, there's definitely, you know, out of the three, that is my, you know, weakest one. The times the other girls, I feel like it's steadily improving, because you want to improve it faster. But yeah, it's definitely still, it's like, you know, it's a balance, because trying to build like the strength to have good marathon, and then you do these faster races. So
Yes.
including, and I feel like I've, yeah, recently really feel like my speed has come up again, which is good for this week. And yeah, as I say, the swimming, you know, is always strong, so I know I'm going to be up there. And then it's like, you know, positioning on the bike. I feel like I'm a strong rider, but I'm not. I still feel like there's improvements to be made there. Just that I have the ability to be up there, but I think sometimes maybe I'm overworking a little bit, and that's affecting my run. So I still feel like such, you know, I think the level of cycling in triathlon by the women has just really increased.
Yes.
And so you know, if you're putting the same power out from the last few years, you actually, that's going to be, you know, you're going to be going getting dropped from these like front groups. So yeah, that's still something I need to be kind of conscious on, and yeah, make sure my strength is there, and yeah, I can not just like survive up the front, but yeah, be there and contribute and push the pace, and come off feeling more ready to tackle the run.
What do you feel has been your best race so far? Either best performance or a race that really sort of told you, okay, I can be one of the best in this sport?
I think the Ironman Australia in Port Macquarie, that was a real turning point for me. I hadn't raced, yeah, apart from, yeah, mainly New Zealand races against the same people so I hadn't really gone up against you know, any international athletes for a while, and I didn't really feel like I had nailed a really good complete like Ironman race, and then also qualifying for Kona, and that was like, okay, you know, I've made this, ticked off this goal, and I had a really good battle with Sarah Crowley, and we know her history and how well she's done at Hawaii and in other races. So actually to spend quite a lot of the run, I was at front at first, and then she passed and ran with her for a little while, and I mean, she only, yeah, got me about 60 seconds in the end. So yeah, it was a really good battle, and like still my fastest marathon I've done. So still chasing to beat that time that I did. But that was, yeah, I think that was really like, okay, I think I was at a point where I'm like, do I, you know, continue with this Ironman? And obviously I had reasons to with Hawaii, and yeah, that result there. So it gave me a lot of confidence, and yeah, that really set off the rest of the year, to be like, okay, I'm going overseas, and I'm going to do another, you know, challenge Roth, and then I've got yeah, get myself in the best shape for Hawaii.
Yeah, and that was in Australia. That was like a 3:12, and obviously there's a lot there, right? That's what the cool part is. You know, you can go faster, right? There's still a lot of potential there, and you're getting second, third, fourth running the 312, 319, and you can be way faster than that just through consistency, right? That's the hard part. It doesn't happen overnight, right? You're like, okay, I want to be faster and run today. It's like, well, it might be, you've got a big block now. It might be Kona. It might be early next year. Being patient has to be the toughest part about this.
Yes. You still need to. I feel like this year it's been a lot of racing, and I haven't maybe done all the big training blocks. So I think, getting a good block in before Kona, I think will show like a better, race there. And then, I've still got a lot of goals in that Ironman distance, and so that's motivating for next year as well.
Do they balance well in terms of you're doing things? This is less than a 70.3 when you go to the US Open. And at the same time, if the goal is Kona, but the short course racing makes you better, right, for the longer distance?
Yeah, I think the intensity of it, and you have to just jump on. Yeah, it's kind of almost closer to a Olympic distance race where you just get on the bike and you're pushing pretty hard from the start. So I feel like when you go into an Ironman, you're like, oh well, this seems a lot more like steady to start. And so it just helps to bring your level up. And so the long stuff, it's like the pace is different, so you can handle like the power you're putting out is less than an Ironman, but it kind of helps both ends.
Both ends do, and the nice thing is when you're doing these short, you can't take the foot off the gas for a second when you're doing something like Milwaukee next weekend. You've got, Ashley Gentle and Paula Findlay and Taylor Knibb and Chelsea Sodaro and Laura Phillip, Holly Lawrence, Tamara Jewett. It goes on and on and on, all the best people. But I'm guessing that's sort of fun for you, going to the start line knowing that, hey, I'm going against seriously the best women in the world.
Yeah, that is exciting. I think it brings, I think we saw that at the European Open. Everyone was just going, really hard, and you had to just produce, kind of an all-round performance, and in a really fast run to get up there. And it was, the difference between then getting top 10 to top 20. It wasn't that, too far behind. Like I think I really did fade a bit towards the back end of the run. I had gone pretty hard on the bike, and it kind of went from suddenly, I could have nearly got 12th or 13th, and I ended up 17th. So even up to those last Ks for that, you're really fighting for position.
Love it. Hey, Rebecca, look forward to seeing how you do in Milwaukee, and we'll get to chat with you live, hopefully in Kona.
Yeah, that'll be great. It'll be great to, seeing the backdrop there.
That's our backdrop. That's at Huggos. That's where we do our show from, and you'll get to meet Poncho Man, and it'll be a treat to watch the rest of your season. And I think you're doing exactly the right thing. Do Milwaukee and go get your training in for Kona rather than traveling to Singapore and Lati and places like that. It's hard. You can't do it all. You can't do it all 1 year.
Yeah, I think some athletes have chosen to stay into Europe and do those ones. And, that kind of makes sense if you're European base. And then, some people who are closer to come to Singapore or Milwaukee. It's hard. It's like, oh, have I done the right race or not? And then, but you've just got to choose what works for you. And, look forward to, this race, and then onwards to Hawaii. It's pretty exciting. Like someone said, look, you've already had a busy year, and you've still got this race and maybe another lead-in race, and then Hawaii. So it's great.
It's a good time to be a professional triathlete. There's a lot of great options out there which before PTO they weren't there. So it's really cool to see that there's great options, that you can make that decision. I don't have to go to Singapore. I don't have to go to Lati. I want to go. Kona's my goal for this year, and that's what I'm going to focus on. So I think we're in a really good era for triathlon, and it's great to have you in the sport, Rebecca. Really, really fun to see what you're doing. It'll be great to meet you in Kona.
Yeah, great to be on the show in Kona.
Love it. Rebecca Clarke has been our guest. She's doing PTO US Open coming up in Milwaukee. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll catch you next time. See ya.